Hey guys, what's going on? Xbox All In, hosted it forever here. Just wanted to do a quick video for you guys, kind of a rant, get a few things off my chest, especially when it comes to Xbox. Now, look, if you guys, hold on 1 second, guys, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure that was running. It looks like my channel is fine. It's streaming good. Okay, so again, just a rant, right? If you guys like the direction that Microsoft is going with their Xbox brand, and what they defined as next generation gaming, as indicated by the announcement that was made. These announcements that's been made over the last week. Um, then that's cool, man. Just be, like the title says, just be happy. Um, Again, showcase that they did. I told you guys I gave it a solid B. Just for a couple of things that they showed, was not interested in. And the reason they didn't give it an A like I normally do is because the direction that they're taking the system. Well, the system and then the brand. The system I'm kind of worried about, but it's mostly the brand and the culture of what Xbox is. Okay, so that's just me. That's my opinion. But if you guys out there that are Xbox guys that are happy about it, then be happy, right? I'll say the same thing to you guys that I say to people who are Sony fans or Nintendo fans, right? And I say this on my channel all the time. If you like Sony and you like the PlayStation, I don't care. I'm fine with that. If you like Nintendo and you like the Switch and you bought a Switch too, that's cool too. The only time I've had problems with these fan bases is when they've come into the Xbox space and try and tell me, the person who owns an Xbox that plays my console, that plays online, that actually occupies the ecosystem. Right? I sound like a broken record here, but again, trying to make a point. That's in the ecosystem that actually purchases not just games but movies, apps. I run the entire gamut. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about on this channel is going to actually cover that a little bit more, right? Because regardless of how I feel about the culture of Xbox and the direction that Microsoft is taking Xbox, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Microsoft is a big company. It's one of the things that should reassure a lot of us as Xbox guys. If they move forward with the backward compatibility, which was confirmed, which I didn't doubt that they were going to do. They talked about this years ago, guys. Right? A lot of the people talking about it now, they're just fresh off the boat, right? They've come aboard with the Xbox and the Xbox brands, and that's fine, dude. These guys have channels. They're talking about it ad nauseum. But we've known this stuff for the longest time, right? And so it didn't bother me. I didn't have a doubt that they were going to do that. To me, it makes a lot of sense. It's in their wheelhouse, right? It's something that they're pushing, right? Because it's something that makes the Xbox brand unique. So on the branding and some of the stuff that they do, they have not changed, and it's still good. I'm still here, right? I'm still going to be playing my Xbox on my console. I'll still be playing my games. Just played Towerborn again last night. They had a big download. They have a lot of stuff that they put up there, right? But for somebody like me, when I'm looking at Towerborn, I'm going to be honest, right? They did a big push. I'm using this as an example, guys. They did a big push for the game. I figured it was coming, but I thought it'd come later on in the year because I think the game needs some work. And it's not in the gameplay, honestly. There's some stuff that they could do to improve the gameplay, to make it more robust, to make the game better, right? But as it stands now, that's not the problem I'm having with the game. I'm addicted to it. I think it's an absolutely awesome game. The problem I have is more on the technical side, like getting dropped from games, being in parties, and then you're in a game and you just get kicked out. I know some of that's on my end, probably because of my location, but still, right? If you're gonna push that game and then you're gonna come up with an upgrade, which is awesome, right? And you're gonna come up with all this new stuff, and then they went straight to the store, right? So they have a lot of stuff in the store right now that you can purchase with real money. They didn't do that at first, right? They have these things called writs, right? It's almost like a battle pass. You go in, you unlock stuff, you collect these writs, you do these events. Then you also do daily tasks. That's why I'm constantly playing Towerborn, right? Because I want to get these writs to unlock a lot of the skins, which I think is cool. Now they've come with the store, and what I mean they've come with the store, right, is that they have stuff that you can actually put money in to get their credits and then actually buy the stuff, which I don't have a problem with. I tell you guys that all the time on my channel. If I don't find the product good, I step away. If I like the product but what they're trying to get me to spend my money on, I don't find it good. I don't buy. I don't spend money on it, right? And then eventually, if that's what their focus is, and then the game starts to not improve, and life is about choices, right? And right now, what Towerborn is doing, I like it. And a lot of the drive for me is specific reasons personally. That's why I tell you guys all the time, I don't talk about games in a review sense. right? Because everybody else has a visceral experience with games that other people might not have, right? It's what makes games right now, in my opinion, the industry really great because you have so much variety and you have so much choices, right? You have so much cross pollination, right? I just saw a game that's going to come out at the end of the month about this princess, and then you're going to have to raise her, I guess, as a single dad in the game, and it has all the sim stuff that I like. I'm intrigued by the premise of the game. I don't know how it's going to play, but I'm going to try it out. It's going to be on Game Pass, right? Because I like this type of game. So that's what I'm talking about. But somebody, like, I'll just use Hebot as an example. He might not like that kind of game, right? He bought like shooters. He bought like platformers, action RPGs, like Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. But he might like the game. I don't know. I'm not trying to speak for him. I'm just using it as an example. Everybody has their own reasons for playing the games that they like to play. Right? And the great thing about Game Pass and what Xbox does, man, which is untouchable right now, especially with their services, right, is they give you a lot of variety, right? So it gives you an opportunity to experience a lot of different games on a lot of different levels, right? I can speak to that because when we're all younger, the only way we could do that is if we borrow people's games, especially in the zone and the friends I had, dude, we can afford these games, right? And then you had that one friend that parents bought him all the games, right, and he would let you borrow the games, right? That's the same kid that had the Nintendo, he had the Genesis, right? He had the Atari, he had the GI Joes, and he just didn't have like the regular GI Joes. This dude had like the GI Joe headquarters and the aircraft carrier. Dude, he had Perceptive, right? That's how this kid had everything, and he was a cool kid, and he was my friend, and he always shared with us, right? So that's you just think about that in those days, right? And for some of you guys, you might be young, I'm old, but that's how it was for us, and now I get that all in one with the Game Pass, right? Because I don't have to do that anymore. I can just turn on my Xbox, go to Game Pass, and see what they have. And in that sense, with Game Pass, like that's one of the great things about the showcase that they did. They showed that these games are Game Pass, they come in day one, and they've always done that, right? So it's at the level that they're doing it now, with the content they're putting up, it's definitely extra. It's definitely beyond. I'm not saying it's not, right? That's their claim to fame right now, right? Which is why people are speculating that they're going to raise the price. I know I heard something like somebody saw something leaked, right? Well, if that's confirmed, but it wouldn't surprise me if it does, and for me that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? But then for everybody else, you have to adjust yourself accordingly, right? So my point again being, like, if you like what Microsoft is doing, then be happy, right? Like just enjoy the ecosystem, enjoy your games, right? And you know, if if the stuff I tell you guys don't like, whatever, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, the things I talk about on this channel is going to be a lot more centered on me, right? And what Xbox is doing. I've already made my peace with it, right? I've said the stuff that they're doing that I don't like, but the majority of the stuff, it's still 80. I would say like right now I'm at an 85-90% clip of what they're doing, right? I'm all on board, right? Moving forward. And again, like I tell you guys all the time, I can't go anywhere, right? This is it. This is it for me. Right. Now, what you might get out of the channel now, if I had a chance to do gameplay, right, I'll probably do that, but I'm not going to spend my time doing that. I'm not going to edit video, capture gameplay. I wish Microsoft would have stuck with the Xbox One. They had the recording stuff. That would have been good for me. I could have just shared it on my social media, let you guys know what I'm doing, right? Because that's all I'm doing right now. I'm just playing games. Like I spent like 4 hours last night playing Towerborn. Didn't mean to go that long, right? But I was just unlocking a lot of different things. Got into a couple groups that was really cool. Ran a couple games, right? And then they have all these different events going on, which is awesome. Look, these guys know that a lot of people, like, you're off today. A lot of people are going to be off probably tomorrow, like me, and then run the whole weekend, right? That makes a lot of sense. Like if I turn on COD, like if I go on I didn't check COD yet, but I'll probably go check COD. They probably have a double XP weekend. T Reaper says PC hybrid will change the way of gaming forever. Xbox Play Anywhere is coming. Yeah. Hey, number one, thanks for being here, T. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. That's why I said in my last video, they should just go ahead and just label it Microsoft Gaming. Because that's what's kind of bothering me about Xbox, right? They just slow walk everything. Just put it out there already, right? Just tell everybody, right? Because I have people coming at me like saying to me, "Oh, look, but this says Xbox, like with the logo thing." Because I'll be honest with you, I was kind of joking about it, being a little bit facetious. And of course, you can't joke around with people nowadays, right? They take things way too seriously. Right, so people are like, well, you saw they had Xbox One. There's going to be an Xbox exclusive. I'm like, dude, nothing's exclusive anymore. Nothing is. Everything's exclusive till it's not. Right? Like you're saying, T, 100%, right? Xbox Play Anywhere is coming. Yeah, that's how people have to adjust their mindset. That's what I'm doing, right? Because there's some of these guys that still believe that, and then when it doesn't go that way, then they're gonna be upset. So for me, and I put that on Microsoft, right? Just come on and just do it, dude. It's gonna be Microsoft games, and you guys are just gonna focus on everything everywhere, right? Just rip the band-aid off, let people deal with it, right? And then they'll adjust accordingly. But dragging it out like this, that's not gonna be, hiding, right? I know that they're busy. I give them that, right? They got a lot of stuff to do, right? They have a lot of studios they got to manage. They got to get the library of games. We did not see anything on State of Decay. I'm not worried. I don't think it's going to get canceled, right? And on that level, but I know they got a lot of stuff to do. So if that's what they're doing, that's fine. But then they're also not dealing with the community, right? For various reasons, some I understand, but at the end of the day, just say it, dude. Just come on and say it, and then if you guys want to put this stuff out there, then you won't get as much blowback, right, from people or like today I should or this week I could have made like 3 or 4 different videos on a ranting like this, right? Because that's what I normally do, or media bias or media blast videos, right? Because if when I go online and I look up everything that's going on with Xbox, even though I'm kind of gearing towards like what's coming out in Game Pass, what we got this week, man, they're dropping so much stuff, it's hard to keep up, right? So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, right, as an Xbox consumer, right, and then all I see 24/7 is just people talking about Game Pass is dead, Xbox is the new Xbox is nothing but a PC and a console box, like all that stuff, dude. It's all noise to me right now, right? Like in my view, when I look at all this stuff, dude, just moved on. I just move on. Hold on, guys. You got somebody? What's going on? I think it's somebody's out there. Oh no. Okay. Sorry, I thought somebody was knocking at my door. So to me, again, just put it out there, dude. Just be 100 about it. There's no sense in not doing it because you already look. There's just people that hate Microsoft. There's people that hate Xbox, and that's never going to change, right? For me, like I tell you guys on the channel, for me, for that to change, they would have to make people bend the knee, and they're not going to do that. Okay, so what's the next thing they're going to do? They're just going to keep on slow walking this stuff. They just don't do that. They just rip the band-aid off, let people know where you stand, and let people adjust. Hey, what's up, Mr. Kima, man? Thanks for being here. Just a quick rant. I'm not going to be on too long because I got stuff to do, but I appreciate you stopping by. Mr. Kima says State of Decay 3 is reportedly a finished product and ready to release early next year. Yeah, and that's what people were saying, Mr. Kima. Again, I'll be fine with it. I mean, with the games that we got this year, at the clip that they've been putting it out, it wouldn't surprise me, right? And again, for a lot of us that are, strong with Game Pass and with all the indie stuff, then it's cool. I think it's cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I turn on my Xbox, I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that game. Like I forgot about Firebreak. I knew it was coming out soon, but it didn't dawn on me that it was like right around the corner. So that's another game that I got to look at downloading and playing if I got the time. It's hard, man, because there's a lot of stuff they put out. Mr. Kima says, let the Nintendo and PlayStation fanboys battle it out in console sales. Yeah, 100%. Because that's the way it's going to go, right? Microsoft is basically removing themselves from that. And again, they're such a big company, I understand, right? And for me, as a $1 trillion company that they are, that gives me a little, that gives me that cushion, right? For me, I'm not saying the rest of you have to think this way. It kind of gives me a cushion. I'm like, okay, well, at least my library, at least moving forward, the games that I have, right? I should be okay. Not sure about the console stuff moving forward, but I'm gonna look on the brighter side when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. But yeah, so as far as the culture and what my channel, what I normally do, dude, to me, there's no point to do that stuff anymore, right? The dice cast, Microsoft is moving in that direction, right? Wish they would be a little bit more upfront about it, straightforward, right? I think that would be great, but you can kind of see the direction that they're going, and like I said, I just play my games right now, and on that front, man, they can't be beat right now. I mean, bottom line, I see a lot of these guys over there on the other consoles, the other fan bases and stuff like that, scratching and trying to find ways to talk about to spin this in a bad way. And the reason why they do that, and I know why they do it. The reason they do it is because it's not on their console, right? At least not yet. Not until Satya and Phil decide to put everything on their consoles. And even then, I don't think they'll be happy just for the simple fact that it's not about getting the games there. I'm pretty sure some people will be happy about it, but at the end of the day, they just don't like the brand. So what I'm hoping Microsoft will do is just continue to purchase people, continue to produce product, like make it so inundate the industry so much that just the average person can't ignore it anymore. Kind of like what Marvel did with their movies and unfortunately with their television shows. That's inundation in a bad way. But again, for all of you guys out there, dude, this is just my opinion, right? At the end of the day, that's it. That's all it's worth, right? Because that's how it affects me as a gamer. If you guys like what Microsoft is doing, that's fine. Go out there, enjoy your games, right? I will say for some of you dudes, man, just chill a little bit, man, because you guys are coming at some of us, especially as older gamers and stuff like that. Look, dude, I just be honest with you guys. You guys wasn't here from the jump. I don't know who most of you dudes are. You guys seem to have opinions, but you guys wasn't here when the Xbox One launched. For all as I know, is that you guys just bought your Xbox yesterday. I'm just being 100% honest, dude. If you're gonna step to me about what it means to bleed green and be Xbox, right, and be Xbox all in and all this kind of stuff, dude, I don't know you. Right? I can count on my hand right now the number of people that still rock out with Xbox brand the way that we did in 2013, or even in 2000, man, when the Xbox first launched. Which I was not a bleed green type of guy. I was a Sega dude, and I was a multi-console owner. It wasn't until 2013 I stuck my flag in the ground. And a lot of you guys was not here. In fact, none of you guys was here. Most of you guys talking about Xbox right now, and that's fine with me, dude. But just don't, just stay in your lane is all I'm trying to say. That irritates me, right? You guys are stuck in the console war, da 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 da. Dude, the console war built this industry, right? Sure, it's all fine now. It's all gravy now, especially with what Microsoft is doing. All this kumbaya stuff, like they want everybody to play along, everybody to be happy as they make their billions of dollars. And I'm a capitalist, so I don't mind that, right? But again, kind of take a step back, dude. Look at the landscape, right? It's because I know a lot of you guys, dude, that are over here rocking the green and profess to be an Xbox guy. You're only that way because Xbox is the only one doing anything right now. You don't really hear anything from Nintendo. You don't hear anything from PlayStation. All you have, especially for some of these influencers, is Xbox. Xbox is the industry right now. Everything you have is all Xbox, good and bad, good news and bad news, dude. It's funny to me because you have a lot of people coming in watching this stuff, and there's people whose hearts and minds Xbox is winning. I will say that people that I follow that don't touch really video games, they play every once in a while, but they've been forced to watch Xbox's showcases because there's nothing else to watch, and they need the views, right? Or somebody says, "Hey, are you gonna watch the showcase?" and they do it. Which I can appreciate because they're coming from a different perspective, right? They don't have they're not bogged down by all the history of gaming, right? So they just take it for what it is. I find those people refreshing, and then you get kind of refreshing, honest reviews from them. And a lot of times they're like, "Wow, I didn't know Xbox had this," or "Game Pass seems pretty cool," or "Maybe I should get Game Pass," like that type of thing, right? Because there's no other. Sony's not doing anything, and every time Sony does something now, dude, people aren't happy, right? Because they expect, at least on the Sony fan base, because they can't give Xbox the kudos, man. If you compare what PlayStation is doing to Xbox, it's not even close, right? So that's why they have a lot of animosity, right? Because what they want and what they believe it's all smoke and mirrors. And Xbox does a showcase like this, and it shows them every single time. That's why I said the Xbox showcase was more like the Summerfest, right? Because that's what Summerfest used to be. PlayStation actually used to show games back in the day, but that's not the PlayStation now. Nintendo don't care. Nintendo will just like, hey, just take this. There's Mario World for you, right? You take it and you like it, and their fan base likes it, and I'm fine with that, dude. If that's what they want, that's what they want. I don't care, right? But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, man, if you're gonna step to me, don't. I'm just not, dude. I'm grouchy. That's why I'm gonna do podcasts with me and Heba. We're gonna call it the odd couple or the two grouchy old guys. Right? I don't have time. I don't want to hear it. It's all like it's easy for you guys to come out here and talk about this stuff or be hopeful about the future of gaming, and be hopeful and stuff like that. But don't come at me with this stuff, dude. You wasn't here. I don't know who you are, dude. You definitely wasn't here when stuff was bad, right? And just like Heba was saying, and I agree with him 100%. If things turn, right? If something happens where Sony gets the upper hand, dude, we'll be back at square one in 2013, right? And a lot of you guys will just fade into the background, and then you switch over to PlayStation. That's why I hope PlayStation fails, right? And that's me being selfish because that'll be another thing that I can say. Well, that secures my purchase and my support of the console that I like and the console that I play and the games that I buy. Okay, just being 100% with you guys, man. Some of you dudes, man, and it's irritating me. I mean, it really is. Fresh off the boat, man, coming in here, be talking about stuff you have no idea about, and then when you say certain things, dude, just like some of you guys are like, oh yeah, well, I said this in my last video. I said this last year. I'm like, dude, we've been saying this for like 10 years. You didn't discover anything. It's already there. Well, anyway, I'm starting to ramble about that, but I just want to get that off my chest, dude. You guys come to this channel, dude. You see the switch. I'm sorry I don't follow up on the other stuff. Dude, just been busy. I'm gonna try to do a couple more things that I normally do on the channel, right? But it's just been crazy out there, right? Look for my next political. Well, what time is it? How long have I been running this, guys? Sorry, 21. I'll go about half an hour. How about that for this rant? I'll go about half an hour. If you guys have any questions in the chat, let me know. I know it's kind of an impromptu thing, but that's how my rants are, dude. It's just me getting stuff off my chest. All right. But just for the future references, I can't, dude. I just can't. I just wish Xbox would have kept the video recording, and then I could show some of my gameplay. But I'm not gonna buy additional stuff to record my gameplay. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kima. I missed that, bro. Mr. Kima says, back in 2013, the gaming media and journalists tried to bury Xbox. Yeah, Mr. Kima, they did. They 100% did. Right, and that's what's kind of irritating to me now with a lot of these newer guys. And look, dude, a lot of them, hey, and that's what I'm fine with it, dude. It's not about your success. It's not about your views. I don't care, dude. I don't care if I get 1 or 2 views on my video. It's not about that, dude. But it's when you're coming in, right, and then not knowing the stuff that happened just a mere 10 years ago, dude. That's how I know you guys are wet behind the ears, man. Because this happened not too long ago, right? Where, like Mr. Kima said, dude, they were trying to put Xbox in a box and bury it 10 feet under. Dude, the media and the PlayStation guys, right? And Microsoft learned a valuable lesson with the Xbox One, right? They learned that the 360 fan base wasn't the fan base they thought it was. All the Xbox was just an evolution of what the 360 was. And I can tell you, dude, the people on the 360, they were all in on the 360, right? I tell you guys all the time, the games I played, the people on my friends list, dude, they were casual to the core. I had maybe 10, 15 people that were hardcore like me back then. Right when the Xbox One comes around, dude, the announcements, what people were complaining about, and the loudest, most hateful people, man, were all the PlayStation guys, and the media followed suit because the media is full of people that grew up on Sony and PlayStation. Right, that's why they still carry the water for these guys, and it's still happening today, dude. No matter what Xbox does, all you have to do is do a search in the news with Xbox, and you'll see it, man. There's no win for them with the media. Right? This is why you have Xbox Wire. Just go there. That's why you have ID at Xbox. That's why they have their own YouTube stuff. That's why they put on their own thing. Because they're not going to get a fair shake from the media. Even the Xbox guys, quote unquote, in the media, aren't really Xbox guys. They don't rep the brand. They don't call out their compatriots on their podcast or their compatriots in the newsroom. Thank God the media is dying, right? It's awesome. I love it. But they don't do that. They never have, right? And you sit there as an Xbox guy knowing the other people are wrong, knowing that they're lying, and then the supposed Xbox dude is just sitting there, basically, with his thumb up his nose, not representing the brand that he's supposed to be representing. And I'm not saying like as a fanboy, but just as a journalist, like telling them, no, it is the more powerful console. No, it has way more features. No, PlayStation didn't do that. Xbox did it with the Xbox One at launch, but people hated it so much. People hated the console so much that Xbox didn't have the feature anymore. Then PlayStation just copies it a couple years later, then everybody thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That kind of stuff, right? And it's not going to go away, man. And this is why, again, I've been so hardcore with the nuclear option with Microsoft because I would like them to do that, right? Now, again, they're all up there. They're all up there. But that's why I love Hebot's point. Hebot talked about Apple. If Apple was to buy Sony, dude, if that happens, dude, I would laugh. Right. Some of you guys, man, because I know it's gonna happen, dude. A lot of you guys, all these dudes, all these trolls are gonna start coming out, right? They're down right now because they have nothing. They still lie, they still try and flip the script, but they don't have no firepower, man. They don't have no powder, man, in their keg. They're firing blanks. They try, right? But the average person can see that now too. It's just like you say this stuff, but what you're saying is not true, right? That's how bad it is for them. But you just give them a little bit, man. If you just let them, just let them get their toe in that door, man, and it'll be 2013 all over again. So 100% on with T-Bot on that. 100%, dude. These dudes get a lifeline, dude. It's over. They connect with China. I don't know if that would happen because of Japan and China, but I'm telling you, dude, PlayStation and Sony has not changed since I was a little kid. The same crap they did back in the 90s, they're still doing it now. That's why they're in trouble. That's why they're in trouble, man, because they think they're still that company and they're not. Dude, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, man. And with Sony, you can't teach a dead dog anything, dude. I mean, they're bad. They're that bad, right? They keep on doing the same thing over and over and over, and every once in a while they strike gold, right? Because that's their wheelhouse, right? And they get a good Spider-Man animated show, right? There's what was the talks that they're going to buy WB. I don't know if you guys heard that. They want to buy WB and they want to get the rights to what is it, HBO or something, whatever WB owns. And it was funny to me, man, because a lot of people were criticizing Sony about that. To me, it's like, no, that's Sony's wheelhouse, dude. If they can get back to that, that's their bread and butter, not the gaming. Simply was like, no, gaming Sony's bread and butter. Gaming has never been Sony's bread and butter. Their biggest claim to fame is making gaming cool and selling consoles, right? But they've never changed the industry. They've never set a standard. Everything that changed the industry either came from Sega or Xbox, and even Nintendo back in the day. But Nintendo's just happy to be who they are. But a lot of you guys are like, "Oh man, they shouldn't do that." I was like, "Dude, that's what Sony was built on. That's how they were able to get into gaming, man, because of their electronics and the bazillion studios that they own and record labels that they own. That's how they made their money, right? This is why the digital age is so bad for them, right? Because they're behind. Right? It's funny to me that people can complain about Xbox, who's the one going forward, of which some of us don't like, right? Some of us guys don't like that they're going forward, right? But they're there, right? And then a lot of the people out there that hate on Xbox is like, well, PlayStation's in the right place. I'm like, dude, they haven't been in the right place in like 25 years. Even when they were like the behemoth in the 90s, man, they were still having problems. And what I mean by that, dude, they could afford to take risks. And they did a lot of stupid things. I know that I own their electronics. Right? What they would do is they had so much money that was kind of their R&D. The problem with R&D at some point in time, you got to think to yourself, is it worth putting it on the market? And Sony didn't care. Sony put it all on the market, right? So some people mistake that for innovation. It's like, no, that's just poor business. And I know this too because my friend had all this stuff too, because he's a huge Sony fan, right? And then you saw the cracks in the armor, man, because what ended up happening, they make these devices or these peripherals, and I mean across the board, whether it's electronics, whether it's in the industries that they own, and even in the gaming space, man, they would do this kind of stuff, and it wouldn't bring back the return on investment, right? Moby Knight, he he he. What if someone steals my Xbox handheld? I don't know, bro. That thing looks pretty heavy. I think you'll be safe. He might throw out his bat. I will just wait to see movie like what they're gonna come with that handheld. It sounds pretty cool. And again the reason I talk about the handheld and not being interested in it has nothing to do with the system, the power, or any of that stuff. I'm not even looking at that just for the simple fact that I can't I can't play mobile games because of my physical condition. But hey, welcome to the chat, bro. Welcome to the video. Mr. Kima says Warner Brothers are $40 billion in debt. Can't see how Sony can buy them and take on all of that debt. Oh wow, I didn't know they were that bad in debt. Wow, $40 billion in debt. How did that happen, Mr. Kima? I knew they were struggling like financially, but I didn't know it was that bad. 40 billion. Maybe that's why Microsoft didn't buy them, huh? Oh, 40 billion to Microsoft. Like 40 billion to us, like to me, I'll just use me. 40 billion to me is ridiculous. I could never fathom that amount of money, but and with Microsoft and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting to me because Microsoft seems to be going back to the Xbox One planning. right? They have aspirations of going back to that ecosystem in 2013 where they were producing more than just games. That's one of the things I understand about what they're trying to do, putting their games everywhere. It's not just going to be about the games; it's about everything. And so, if they can make the brand more palatable to everyone, like how Marvel did, um, uh, like when Marvel first started off, right? People had a lot of questions about them actually making it. Disney comes along and buys them, and then they made it very consumer friendly. I guess that's the best way I could put it. Right to the point where like somebody like me who's a Marvel fan didn't really have to defend them because they created a consumer base that could defend them. Right. In fact, I found myself arguing with the consumer base most of the time, a lot of the time. I'm not in a bad way, man. Just like some of the stuff that they were doing. Like if I had my opinion on something, and these guys would come out, dude. That Marvel force was pretty strong. Not so much anymore because Disney does what they always do. They take their consumer base for granted. If you don't know the history of Disney as a whole, as a company, man, they go through these cycles. But this is probably the worst. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And that's due to not just talentless people working there. It's ideologically driven people. There's politics thrown in the mix, mismanagement, bad business practices, all of that. It's all rolled up into one. So, Mr. Kima, if you're still there, brother, you think Microsoft might make a play for Warner Brothers? I know a couple of guys want that to happen. I mean, they have a big man. The fact that Warner Brothers is in this bad a shape, dude, is sad because they have everything, dude. The stuff that Warner Brothers have should be untouchable. Yeah, but we live in different times, dude. Trust me. I'm on the internet every day, realizing how much stuff is changing, and I'm talking in milliseconds. I don't know how Sony's gonna do that. Maybe they can leverage something with their studios. I'm talking about their that side of it, because they still make some pretty good stuff, movies wise. And I don't know about their electronics. Their electronics. They should have what they should have done back in the day with Sony. Like they didn't pivot. It's almost like with Blockbuster not realizing what Netflix would become. Right. That's what Sony didn't realize when televisions were changing. Sony was going for higher quality, which is fine, right? And then for a premium price, that I think that would have worked out because they had a strong branding. But the problem was like for me, right? They started shifting and not making the stuff themselves, which affords the premium price. But they started to become like the U.S. They started to ship stuff overseas to be made, and then that quality dropped. But they're still they're still asking for premium prices. And then once Vizio, I remember when Vizio hit the scene, that changed everything. Because the thought was like, no, you want a Sony, you want a high quality, you want the best of the best. And a lot of people was like, nah, dude, I want something cheap. And to Vizio's credit, dude, they created stuff that was, it wasn't just trash. You just didn't buy it in a truck. I know they had problems in the beginning, but once they got their clip down, dude, they could produce stuff very, very cheap, a lot more cheaper, and the quality was above average. So, and that's what it was. And they built that fan base, and they basically invade the market, and everybody follows suit. And Sony was stuck there, just like with Sony PlayStation. They're just stuck there, again, with their fingers up their nose, waiting for the world to revolve around them. And that's not the world we live in. So in that sense, that's why I understand what Microsoft is doing. It's not that I don't. Trust me, guys, I do. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it from um, what I get out of it, more or less. But again, just to wrap up the video, guys, thanks for being here. I don't want to go too long. This is just like an all-in rant. I'll do a couple more of this stuff. If you guys are into my political stuff, I wanna talk a little bit about that. I'm actually gonna do something on the more biblical side. Trying to do that today because that's another thing that's been occupying my time. Got a lot of stuff going on in the world, and it amazes me, and it's kind of my fault. I've been paying attention on that level. Um, a lot of the stuff that's coming out biblically in the world that's just not true. And so that's the stuff I'm gonna start doing on my channel, guys. I'm just gonna let Microsoft do Microsoft. But again, just come out, just say it already, just say it. Right? Just right. On the flip side, Game Pass is dominating. It's amazing to me. But let's wrap it up. Mr. Kima, thanks for being here, brother. Appreciate it. T, thanks for stopping by, man. I don't know. I forgot that game you was playing, man. The one with the cards. Sorry, man. I haven't been able to download it yet. And then they just dropped Firebreak, which I want to try. And there's just too many games. I started playing Division 2. Getting back into that game, dude. We just got too many choices. I have a long weekend, guys. I'm happy about that because I can really, put some time into some of these games. I definitely want to beat South of Midnight and especially Indiana Jones because the next DLC, I'm all about it. I actually might buy the game. I just been playing it in Game Pass. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We should get the DLC for Game Pass anyway, right? Okay. Well. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But thank you guys for dropping by, man. Xbox All In channel. Sega Forever. We out.